I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Mr. Carter, School Board Recognition Month.
Well, this is one of those times we're always excited about making sure that we get the opportunity to thank the board and triple their salary. So I want to make sure everyone publicly knows how we triple their salary every year. And of course, being a math guy, 0 times 3 is still 0. So, so anyway, that being said, though, the governor has a very nice certificate here for you in front. And we have a proclamation here. So we have certificates for everyone here, and it talks about Oregonians rely on a robust public education system to ensure prosperous quality of life. And the part I really love, I love the whole proclamation, but it says, board members build the framework that makes it possible for education and organizations to teach children and to basically help us reach our potential. And you know that without school boards, it is the purest form of democracy. Without school boards, we could not do the work we do now. So I want to publicly thank the school boards for all their service. And if you look around, you'll see that we have stuff here from our kids who did it to my right and your left. And you guys can't see all of it, but it's pretty cool.
Well, you can do it.
All the elementary kids have sent some stuff to from Fremont. We also have from the Lake County School District number 7, we have a gift card for you, and it was within the ethical amount. So I wish it could be more, but ethically we have to follow the rules, and that's what you pay us for. So we do have a small gift card for you there and certificates. And of course, we have some donuts made by our cafeteria group. So, and these are really good. And I will have to tell you that those donuts were guarded vehemently by our office staff because the superintendent was trying to get into them multiple times. So they're all yours. So anyway, again, we are tongue in cheek a little bit, but we also want to really thank you because this is a thankless job. You get to hear all the bad things, and very rarely do you hear the good ones, except when you see a kid succeed. So the staff and the administration and the community, thank you for your service. So. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Yes. So approval and amendment of meeting agenda items. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the meeting agenda items for January 12th, 2022 regular board meeting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Move to approve. Aye. Right.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, yes.
Aye.
Aye, motion.
Aye.
Motion of carries, approved and carried. I guess that's how it
Yep,
works.
you're good.
Like I said, it's been a while.
Good practice.
Approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes of December 8th, 2021 as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. So moving on to good news.
Well, we got good news. We got the gala coming up, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate all of you coming. I know we're going to miss Barry, but he has a big thing going with his commitments with his children and stuff. So that's going to be great. So, but we're going to miss him. But we do have a great event, and we bought 2 tables. So the reason why we bought 2 is we have certificated and classified employees of the year. So we're going to be awarding 2 awards that night. I have Ms. Gerber, who's going to be represent the district, and I have Ms. Hussman going to represent the high school, and Dusty Counts is going to represent the elementary, present those awards to our 2 winners. So we're pretty excited about that.
So typically, doesn't the person from the prior year that won it present it?
Yeah, but we didn't have one of the awards before in the past because we got 2, so we had to change the criteria a little bit. Great question.
Mrs. Schulenberger is planning on going to present.
We're hoping that she will.
I just talked to her.
We will make sure that she gets it. We're just going to take it because I think the key thing is that we're just trying to get everyone out there to realize, and I will not be speaking that night. This is a team effort, and I think that's important. So, and I'm glad to hear that. So thank you for letting us know.
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
I just talked to her.
Super, good. So we got 2 good winners. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Absolutely. So we'll just move right into Superintendent report.
Well, the first one is the Youth and Employment Counselor. So this is Mr. Sean Gerber. So we've hired him, and he's had one whale of a start. That's all I can say. We had already had our first graduate, early graduate. So I mean, it's been great, and he's got some great partnerships. I've taken him to Rotary already. He's got great connections. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but I do want to start off with this thunder. So he sat down with me and Chalice Young and myself, and we sat down in December. And we had this grant that was due. It came out in the late November, and then they said, "Well, let's go for it." And then they came back. It was due. It came out November 17th. We didn't get it to the next Monday, and it was due a month later. So we sat down in the morning, and the three of us put this grant together. And those guys are great. And we said, "Why don't we go for it?" I said, "Well, we should go 15, 16,000." And and Sean spoke up and said, "No, if we're going to go for all, we need it all." And so did Chalice. So to make a long story short, we asked for the full 40. Today we got 45, and I'll let him tell you the rest. Go ahead.
So the first grant that we submitted was for the Community Stewardship Board grant, and it was actually, we put in for 41,000 and some odd change. We ended up getting 45,000 because after talking to him, he realizes we really need it. This will focus on year-round education and on-the-job training. So that grant is huge. The second one that we weren't sure about was the OIC grant, which focuses on the summer youth employment. That one is up to 40,000, and today we found out that we possibly are getting that also.
Wow.
So
we're
upwards of an $85,000 grant.
So that
Yeah.
pays for for his salary, so we're pretty good now. So yeah, but we're
He's putting the raise request.
yeah, we're
in,
the
right?
raise you guys already. But I just thought that was a way to start off his rookie season with a couple home runs. So I didn't want to steal the rest of your thunder, but I thought that was important. That just happened here just a couple hours, so
Yeah.
that's why we brought it up.
Great.
So I'll turn the rest over. I'd like to have him talk about his projects and what he's doing.
So I'll just give you guys a little update on what I have been working on. I've been working with students one-on-one, helping them try to meet graduation requirements, stay on track, future plans, things like that. We do have some future plans for trying to work with these guys as early as freshmen instead of waiting till later. And I'm working along Chalice, Mrs. Young, and she has some great ideas also to add to this. And I think it'd just make a smoother process for them by starting that early, but they are doing great in the program. Transition plans, we've been having weekly meetings with the students, discussing their career field of choice, helping with arrangements, applications, and phone calls, just helping them out because they don't understand the process yet. So
And practice resumes and also practice interviews. So we
Yeah.
take your kids to interviews.
I've actually taken a few kids and even had mock interviews just at local businesses. And they're as nervous as a real interview, but it's good for them. They learn a lot. I've been working alongside Miss Young with the work program, and same thing. I have weekly meetings with the employers and the students. I've been trying to match the students with the employers. So, a good example is the bike shop with Tom. I would like to put somebody in there with him that is interested in what he's doing. We found somebody like that. So I think that helps the whole process go by.
So with this grant, we'll be able to pay those kids after they reach a certain criteria. So Sean will have that allowance. So that's what the grant was for.
Yep.
And then it's a voucher system and stuff. So if a kid does performance, it'd be like a bonus. So those vouchers will be used as bonuses and also for incentives. So sign-on bonus and also for performance. So it's just going to be like a real job. But that's the part I really love about it. And Sean has been able to get us some new partners, and we've already met with the town. So we have workers signed up for that. So it's going to continue to grow. But if and board members, you guys have great connections. So if there's someone out there that is looking for workers, connect them to Sean, and then he'll be able to meet with them and look at criteria and try to match the kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is it's a great incentive for them. We've been working on the backpack program quite a bit also. I have a really good team with that. I have the food share working alongside me. a couple of people from the Lake District Hospital, and then I've been using the leadership students, and they've been helping do the bagging. Kind of made it into an assembly line, and those guys they're little rock stars. They've been doing it quick. So we've been doing about 180 bags per week to get the kids through the weekend. And Cisco and Safeway have been alongside me for that.
By the way, when we designed this program, we thought 50, maybe 75,
Right.
and we're over, so.
How many bags is one kid going home with?
One bag per kid.
One bag
Yeah.
per kid. Okay.
Yeah, and that what they do is they hand them out on Fridays.
Okay.
When they're leaving school. So
And he's customizing it. We have people with special dietary needs, so whenever we can accommodate that, he's worked out some system to get that accommodated. So it's just service oriented, and it's great for our kids to go who have privilege, and they get to go serve some of our other kids. That's great. Any questions about what he's doing?
Well laid out.
Have we ever gotten a grant like that before
No,
that you're aware of? That we're aware of?
no.
Yeah.
Janet found it. She sent it to us, and then of course we give Janet more work, which we appreciate all the time.
that's something she appreciates.
Oh, look, it's not needed
Actually,
anymore.
we've gotten we've gotten part of that grant, the summer work crew. We've had that for the past several years. That piece of it, the stewardship, or not brand new, but Timothy and I shared it with Sean, and I figured he needed as much work as I did, right? But just lesser. Last year, I believe we had 13,000. Doubled it up for us to 22,000 because the prior year with COVID, etc., we weren't able to do that. So they doubled it 22, or this last summer to 22,000. So it's actually a good thing with knowing that we can go with the full 40, which we can always use. It was good.
Yeah.
So that being said, we'll move on down the item again. So next one is about DMS basement inventory. So while Sean was going, he's finding duties as assigned as part of his job description. So we needed to send people down, and he'd also had the maintenance background when he worked in our maintenance department. So what we're doing is, it's amazing how much stuff is being found down at DMS. So on page 13 so I'll let Sean tell you what he did here.
So this is inventory and photos with a total count of everything that's in the DMS basement. Alongside, there's a room next to the basement that used to be the old art room. It also is counted in this. The photos are just, it's not all the pictures. These are just to give you guys examples, but the total is the real deal. So when you see the total count, that is what we have down there. There is a lot of good stuff down there, and there's a lot of things that I don't know that they could be used. But it is full.
So we're going to plan to surplus this with the board's approval, and then what we're gonna do, Sean came up with a great idea that anytime we have something, well, you tell them anything that we're gonna keep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that the school could probably still use that is down here. We have a lot of the small kids' plastic chairs and a lot of the adult chairs that we might still be able to use. Podiums, things like that. A little bit outdated maybe, but they're usable, you know. There's some equipment down there, custodial equipment, radiator heaters, stuff like that. I don't know the background on those. I tried plugging one in, I don't think it works, so.
So anything like that, we're gonna surplus, but anything that we might be able to use, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it up to the DMS third floor right now. And then that way we don't lose it, and then we can do what we need to do downstairs, which is get the weight room going and all that. So we just want the board to let you know what it looks like. So it's always interesting to get a list. So I appreciate Sean's approach, pictures worth 1,000 words, so you can see what we're talking about. Because if otherwise we put that list there, you just look at it and you guys surplus it. But we thought we'd try something new, and I think this is, I don't know if you guys like it or not, but it gives you a little help. And that way, whenever you hear from somebody in the community saying, we threw away a lot of good stuff, you can say, well, you know, here's what we got, actually got a list, but we also got pictures.
Yeah.
So he only shared a few of them. Yes, ma'am.
Right. I was just curious how, what kind of shape the desks are in. It seems like we could do the whole third floor and put kids in desks up there, but are they not great?
No, they're in good shape like that. We could, but right now I can't occupy that third floor yet. And that would be our future. That would be our future stuff. That's why we don't want to get rid of anything that we can, deem that could be used. We will make sure we keep it. But we just thought it might be a good way for the board to see this rather than go take you down for a tour.
Right.
No, it was great. I appreciated it. Thank you.
So that's what we have on that. Any questions for us?
So has a lot of this been tried to be sold with the,
We sold this first. This is the second round. This is where we went through classrooms and we found COVID. Remember, we had to empty classrooms and make them bigger. So we found a lot of stuff that people had. I think there's a gene in a lot of teachers, a hoarding gene. So I'll leave it at that. I want to put down my colleagues, but I don't know what it is. I think sometimes whenever there's money was tight, we kept everything. So we're finding that a lot of stuff that teachers did not need. And also, too, another change is like if you have a new teacher come in, and like I'll use one of our high school teachers, she has a new need in her curriculum, and she did not need the type of desk. She wanted tables. So rather than throw those desks away or surplus them, we put them in here. So that way, because that you never know, and someone else might need it. And also, too, like I think like our board members mentioned that we will not throw that away. We could use a classroom up there, and once we get that third floor occupied or able to be used, we'll have the stuff for it. Any other questions for us on that? I just want to thank Mr. Gerber for making the time and thank you for your efforts. And we expect great things now that you get a grant in less than 2 months. So
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
So, is there any more questions for either Mr. Carter or Sean? Mr. Gerber? All right, so
thank you.
moving to any public comments?
No public, no,
No public
there are
comments.
no public comments.
All right, so going to building reports, Ms. Holzman, you want to go first today? Tonight?
Sure. I have Mr. Rose's report too. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start with for the high school. We've got a lot going on, lots of great things. Today we had our state testing training and all of our staff that will be involved with administering state tests this year, they went to this training and it was facilitated by Tara Counts and she did an amazing job with it. So we're getting ready for state testing. Accreditation has been a challenging thing for me this year, just coming in as a new principal, but I'm really excited to say that we're just about done and ready for our accreditation, which is in February. We're still currently working on getting some resources gathered and preparing, but it's really starting to come together and I'm really excited about it.
So I want to jump in there real quick. She's done an outstanding job. I've worked with 9 different principals accreditation that you would not know she's a rookie. She's very well organized and she's very methodical on this. She's also got great staff buy-in and help. So I wanted to mention that. Sorry about your interrupting, excuse me.
That's okay. No, everyone's been really helpful and supportive to get those documents in there from previous years when I wasn't here. So that's been great. We're also already talking about graduation. It came as a surprise to me when first or second month of the school year, we already had graduation meetings and they're monthly. So we're starting to have them more frequently. And we've been talking about all of the senior activities and starting to prepare our senior calendar with all of the luncheons and prom, the parade, and award ceremonies for seniors. We're also talking about spring conferences, trying to use all of our feedback and data that we got from last round of conferences to kind of determine what worked, what didn't work, and then some new ideas for improvement and putting it all together for next time for conferences. Another cool thing that we have going on is we're doing a pilot for the Moby Max program, and all of our special education teachers and ELL teachers have been given a free subscription to this program and a free tablet to use in their classrooms with their students. So the goal of Moby Max is to kind of provide supplemental materials to close learning gaps in multiple subject areas. It's an online program that has over 60 curriculum assessments and practice modules. And it presents the material in a variety of different formats to make it engaging for students, like games, daily challenges, and other things like that. So we're excited to get going with that. And then as Mr. Berger was talking about mock interviews and about things like that he's been working with his kids on, I just wanted to give a shout out to Mrs. Schulenberger, because today in her class, they were doing lessons on how to tie ties. And it was really fun because they had some other teachers come in and teach the kids how to tie ties in preparation for their interviews. That's about all I have. Do you have any questions?
Question? You wanna just go ahead and give Mr. Rose's update why we got you on there?
Sure. So he says for Lakeview Academy, we have 6 seniors at this time who are planning to graduate early. This is an increase from the 3 that we had last year. This program fits some students very well, and others find it is not a good platform for them. Several are returning to campus for in-person instruction at the semester. Mrs. Baker will continue splitting time with Ms. Farr right now. They're reaching out to students, and Mrs. Baker has some students who are coming in person from time to time to work at the Learning Center. For LHS, he says finals are coming up next week. Today we had sources of strength training after school. Student group is preparing an activity for next month. And we've begun to register for some job fairs coming up in the spring, either virtual or in person. And then for athletics, he said middle school boys basketball has begun. Their first game was today at Bonanza. EBL, middle school boys basketball, and club volleyball are sharing gym space around the district right now as we enter the busy time. Our girls varsity basketball team is number 5 in the state right now. Due to some quarantines at other schools, we've had some changes to this week's game schedule. Our student athletes have been healthy so far and playing well. Our wrestling team has wrestled in California twice in the past month, doing well both times, with some individuals winning weight class and the team finishing in the top half or 25% of the large bracket. That's it for Mr. Rose.
Right on.
Do the wrestlers have a meet this weekend somewhere?
Yes, if it does, we're hoping it doesn't get canceled, but if it does, it's up in it's a Redmond class. It's the
Redmond.
Classic. It's the big one. Yeah, we're hoping the big one goes.
Well, thank you for that update for yours and his. And we'll move right along to Mrs. Warner, please.
Good evening. I'm gonna start with calendar events. I agree with Ms. Halsman. We are all really just busy. This week we are simultaneously doing our winter benchmark testing for Easy CBM. And then lots happening during the day with students, and after school we are holding what we call core instruction meetings, where we look at scope and sequence for math and reading, where our teachers are at, to make sure that they are on pace with where they need to be, so we don't end up with more gaps in math and reading skills. Today our elementary teachers went to Smarter Balance training as well. We'll finish those core instruction meetings at the time that we are starting what we call Qpr Training, which addresses student mental health needs and dabbles a little bit at the elementary level in student suicide, kind of what to watch for, training our teachers and giving them more information about that. Training on medical needs. We need to train our staff and protocols for seizures. We do have some need for that. Then towards the end of the month, around January 28th, we'll have those PBIS assemblies, recognizing academics and citizenship. Our next PBIS assembly will not be till the end of February, about the 28th. I had a couple dates in March that I wanted to make you guys aware of as well. During January, February, and March, our staff will be working in PLCs, with professional learning communities, is what that stands for, and they will be working on looking at some reading materials from the adopted reading list. The March date, because I know we have a couple board meetings between now and then that I wanted you to be able to be aware of, was March 12th, and that's the Union Carnival. For you folks that are interested in that, with little people or coming to the auction. Some of the activities that we've been doing, we completed our Easy CBM testing in record time. The staff has worked really hard, the title staff, in getting that done. we finally got an adopted list from the state of Oregon as to what materials we could use to review. That came out in November. We are working with publishers, but we will probably be looking at all of our materials virtually. They don't want to send them and not get them back. So we also are gearing up for a testing schedule. We've got quite a few grades at the elementary school. So we're building that schedule that will start in April. Our behavior specialists are up to full caseloads and really jumping in. They're reaching out and developing some of those community partnerships that needed to be developed or that they had connections for between Lake County Mental Health, Share the Warmth, Healthy Families. And we have one of our behavior specialists is going to be kind of our school liaison that helps with those community partners. And then we have the other behavior specialists working with some more intensive behavioral need children. We meet with them, the behavior specialists, because they're new to the job and we are building a program. We meet with them as admin every week. And we are improving the processes to build that program, referral processes, what kinds of what we call functional behavior assessments we use for kids that need to have a behavior plan. Some of those kinds of things that have not been as formal as what we would like to see in the past. We are scheduling a reading and math consultant for the rest of the year. The reading consultant will focus on that phonics project with the K-1-2 teachers, and then is working on helping the upper grade teachers implement an intervention called Really Great Reading that is helping our students with comprehension. The math consultant is helping some of our newer teachers, and they're working on scope and sequence and also some common assessments with our folks. But we have 11 probationary teachers at the elementary level right now. And so we have a need for these consultants to model in the classroom what this good teaching looks like or what good math looks like. And then the new teacher will teach a lesson and they'll debrief and try and build those skills as quickly as we can. We did receive a grant from OSU Outdoor School Program to fund our 6th grade field trip. So we have a contract with KCC Outdoor School for Union and Hayes 6th graders. Union has a project that's pretty exciting going on. That greenhouse has been kind of left with the Westside Parents Club to do small projects, but Brandy Niger's kind of spearheading this, and they are teaming up the Westside Parents Club with Brandy's leadership and 4-H to develop a garden club that will be open to all of our elementary kids. And we're working out details with that to start that this spring. You may get some comments back about a fairly large bus change that we made this week. The elementary has always had quite a bit of congestion there in front of Hay as those buses head north. We swap those buses and they come in from the north and head south. So we have changed that up as of today, actually. And today went really smooth as far as the kids loading and not being in the middle of all that traffic, trying to get turned to pick up and move along Brent Block. Our new elementary teacher is going to Burns to spend the day with a really dynamic PE teacher, elementary PE teacher in Burns, and we did that funded through the REN program. The Union Gym right now is hosting club volleyball, all the EBL games Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, and also middle school boys games. So that gym's getting a lot of heavy use. Hay Gym is hosting EBL practices 5 nights a week until 8:15 every night. It's hosting childcare in the afternoons, and then also travel teams that want to practice after 8:15 at night. So our custodians really do have their work cut out for them, and they're keeping up the very best that they can, but I appreciate how much they have on their plates right now. I think that's about all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Heck of a lot of stuff going on. I'm good. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Annie, you got anything? So, Janet, you're up.
Oh, what about Mr. Counts?
Oh, is Mr. Counts with us?
No,
No.
he will be, that's why it's slash
Okay.
Dusty, so it'll
One or the
either be him or
Oh,
Susan,
that's right.
one or the other.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, Miss Janet, you're up.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Excuse me. So we are looking at November year-to-date figures, so we're 5 months in, to our fiscal year. For the month of November, our monthly revenue has been $2,900,000, which, as you guys know, it's property tax time in November, so we've got a good amount that we received, within the month of November, are up about 48,000, within the month. Our expenditure, we are, also at about 40,000, so it's kind of almost a wash in what we received within the month versus what we spent as well. So a majority of that is the salaries that go out. So let me switch my screen. Okay, so for overall, we're about 58%. We projected 55%. So we're ahead of it. We've had some, of course, ESSER money that's we've slowly been getting collected in. And some of that is hitting our general fund. Going forward, the round 3 of those ESSER funds are going to hit a different fund because I keep it within the general fund. It's too much to try to keep track of as far as what gets billed, what doesn't get billed. So we automatically stuck it to a different fund. Which you guys will see that when we we're going to have yet another supplemental budget, just because of that ESSER 3, those ESSER 3 funds came in after we budgeted last year, and that 1.6 million. So we have a huge chunk of change to one spend. It was too much for us to not do a supplemental budget. Local sources, we're about 80% collected. We projected it to be about 78%. Those are state school fund collected. We projected 49%. Usually I'm dead on for this one. However, what we did is we went back and we reduced our ADM count because we are down in ADM, which affects our. And so they reduced our estimate goal. We do not want to get in that trap of having to pay back once we get the 21-22 audit done. So this year's audit, when completed, whatever we are off, we could potentially owe the state back, and we don't want to be in that position. So.
And Janet did a good job. We projected 40, and it was 37 right now. So.
By 40 just to be on the safe side. And so anyway, that's why there's a difference there in that.
We lost you, Janet.
You could just yell from the back room.
She's not here.
Oh, she's not in the back room.
Why? That's why I brought down there.
Oh, probably.
Janet, we lost you, so if you can hear us, I can finish up, I think. Okay, so basically, the concern we have, summary, is that cash flow, we have all the money coming, we have to do some supplemental budgets, which we knew already. So we'll just keep putting it in there. We have some funds there. There's an ARLIS fund that I have to write a narrative for. Then they approved our SIP thing with the approval, so I have to go back and do Title VI. So there's a couple things that they sent back we have to tweak, and once we do that, then the money is released. So we'll be fine. But that's the most important part right now is that Janet always likes, and I wish she could defend herself here, but Janet always likes to make sure that our money is. She would rather be very conservative.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
we've been
my
pushing with a lot of extra money.
So I'll cut him off
But we
just a
have
second.
more money coming, but
She
the
wants me on
1.6 will
speaker.
be a big supplement.
You want her to-
Go ahead.
All right, Janet, we got you again now.
Okay. Oh, now I might be an echo.
Move yours, yeah.
Maybe she
Can
came
Can you hear
back.
me now?
Just a second.
Turn your speaker down.
I think she came back, actually.
just tell her to. No, just go ahead and use the phone if you can.
All right, how about now?
That's good.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so, let's back over. So we're looking at 3 million for grants and aid. Just a second, you guys.
No way, that's good to hear that.
That's not gonna work. Janet,
Janet.
sorry,
How about that?
that's better.
Yeah, that's better.
That should work better. Okay, sorry, I apologize. Okay, so we're at, restricted grants and aid is 3 million, as well as, taxes at 2.5 million. Is there any questions on the revenue piece?
I don't think so.
Okay. This is a great day for internet. Yes. So the, month-to-date expenditures is, like I said, 797,000. And we are looking at our year-to-date being at 3.2 million, within the 5 months. Our year-to-date, we're up about 176,000, which, again, is contributed to salaries and payroll costs. We're up about 217,000 on payroll costs, and our salaries is up about 63,000 in comparison to a prior year. So projected, we were at 26% and 27.9% overall. And again, those salaries are up by 29% versus the 25, which we expected that outside of that budgeting process that we went through. And all other objects are pretty close to being pretty stable right there. Again, if you look down at the bottom there, licensed salaries is where, and classified salaries is where we get most of it, along with all of our PERS and benefits, etc. Any questions on the expenditures?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay. Then moving on to the in-fund balance there in November, we are pretty doggone close to what we were at last year. I'm projecting out, we're still pretty good until about February, and then in March is where we're gonna see a little bit of downtick. Mr. Carter and I have been working, side by side on that as far as trying to get that figured out and level back out, so we don't see those negative numbers. So as we get further into this process, I would suspect that we would see a difference in there. Also, the other thing is that we are looking at quite a bit of actual that are happening versus our budgeted amount, which again turns back to where we are with SIA funds that were sitting in general funds, and so we were budgeting there when we got more SIA. So that comes back to that supplemental budget that's going to come down the pipe here relatively soon. Any other questions on financial end?
Any questions? Everybody's shaking their head no.
Okay. Well, again, I hope that's on my internet. Shower day.
It's all good, Janet. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So what do I need to do?
You're good.
You go.
Okay, then no. Sure. So we'll go ahead and move on to old business. Do we have any old business?
We do not.
No old business. New business I see we have.
That's me.
That's you.
Okay, first of all, I want to mention to the board that I'm talking about, I met with all the admin team today and everything. So one of the things before we get to the evaluation piece is that I probably should have mentioned in the, superintendent's report, but I'm looking at having a pause for evening activities and things for about a week. COVID, to try to be a little more proactive to make sure we don't do anything. So we'll let all of our teams practice and go to events outside the district, and they'll cohort by practicing with their teams. So we're going to try this just for a week. And if that happens, that should make sure we stay. Right now, we're always a month behind. I talked to Malheur County Superintendent. They're in the same boat. And if you look at the map, The map's pretty clear, and I sent you all that map, so you can see how the spike was really huge. So I sent you those activities, and I sent you the PowerPoint just to see it. So I'm just thinking proactively, we're trying to get everything we can. We're not gonna hurt any children to make sure that we, take care of them, but also too, to, talking to Judy, she's 100% behind it. We're also gonna have testing, so we will have testing available for people, so she's really worked hard for us on that, so we'll be able to send tests home for parents to take. And then there's a form you'll see in our new requirements, and the requirements keep changing. So Ms. Gerber and I sat through a meeting yesterday, and that was the latest. So the first pack is twice the size, and this is the new one that was sent yesterday. So we're keeping up with it, but it's a lot of work. But the variant circulation, you probably can't see all that, but it's huge. So the Delta variant is so much more. And if you look at the county, you'll see that we're we're the light ones. So we're
The Omicron.
the Omicron, yeah. So the Omicron, and then this is you can see where the chart goes up with that big spike. So we got a lot of stuff here. The nice thing about this particular variant is that it's not as debilitating. Another thing that we wanted to point out to everyone, that if someone gets COVID, the Omicron, what happens then is they've already had it. They're not contagious anymore, so it's a smaller quarantine period. So that's hard to get. We're trying to follow all the rules and regulations as they develop or as we're told. We also know that they change constantly. So we have a lot of districts closing. I know that they did close our 4-H big event this weekend up in Bend. And Deschutes County is the highest right now with Umatilla. Those two are Grown and Multnomah. Those three counties are just absolutely on fire, unfortunately. There's also some issues. Ashland already closed, but Roseburg and others. And that's Glide that hit us. So Douglas County hit. So I just try to let everyone know where we're at. We're going to do the best we can. Or we're going to be not knee-jerk, but very proactive protocols. Some of the protocols here are very hard to follow. An example would be all the contract tracing, especially in our small town, because a lot of our kids will mix with each other after school. So that's where we're at. So
My understanding is contract tracing is not required.
it's not required, so we're not doing it unless what we were told yesterday. If we can prove that it happened at school, though, we have to. So that's the only time, and I don't know how to prove that. So I'm just letting the board know.
So as far as the pause, that's not gonna affect the wrestlers if they get to go?
No. Everything goes, and they go out and play. We have no game scheduled next week here, so that's what we're doing.
Oh, because our game next Friday is away.
Yep. But all of our kids will get to practice. They're in cohorts. We're just trying to not mix as much as we can with the 2-3 day weekends. We're just shooting in the dark, trying to make the best we can. But our number one thing is, if a kid gets an opportunity to perform and no one's ill, we're letting them go. We're letting them participate.
Well, and the reality of Lakeview in particular is they're mixing
Yes, ma'am.
nonstop.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with school.
And again, I want to say publicly, that a lot of times, and I mentioned this even at Rotary today, Barry knows that, people say, how come we're not fighting? And I hear this all the time. I get some pretty rough emails and people saying, how come you're not fighting for us? And they're blaming our administrators and all that. And it's sad because the administrators are fighting. We want the best thing for our kids. If there's something we can do to make our kids safe, we will make them safe. That's the bottom line, But it doesn't make a sense for the board to make a proclamation that we're not going to wear masks or we're against it. It's already been taken to court and they've lost multiple times. So I don't want to waste our resources on that. But we are going to do everything in our power to make sure we keep balance and give our kids opportunities. And I appreciate, like Ms. Holzman's been letting dances happen. I know in the elementary school we've had our mentor programs and things to continue. We're going to continue every opportunity we can with our kids as long as we keep them safe.
Yeah, I hear Mr. Carter talk about having meetings with ODE, and they're asking for input from small schools. I know that he's fighting for small schools to stay open, to not get lumped into what Portland's doing or anything like that, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. It's been a fight, but I appreciate the admin team. It's been great. So that being said, we get to the fun part. Now, I have to admit that I did geek out a little bit, so it doesn't happen to me too often, but I got all the evaluation research at the highest levels, so I got all the great studies. So the highest cynical study comes back to superintendent's evaluation. You guys do not have this, but I was going to give you what we have here. It has management of fiscal financial district affairs. Well, I'm lucky I have a great business manager. And her and she keeps me in line, and we disagree on multiple things, but we're really good at it. In fact, we're looking at all kinds of stuff together, and we'll make sure we're there. Maintaining quality education program is identified number 2. Number 3 is safety of students. COVID now has changed a lot of that, so you can see that's become a big thing. Relationship with the board as a whole and relationship with the community at large. And those are the top 5 that have been identified in the evaluation piece. So that being said, that seems to be consistent with what you guys talked about last year, because safety and facility is all the same thing. So what we're looking at is my proposal to the board, if they're good with it, is to do an off-year evaluation, which is not as extensive. So, the one that you guys did last time had you met multiple hours. I'm not against that. I'm just trying to make it where right now we make it easy for the board and make it easy for all of us. So I have my first draft. I emailed it to you already. It's my first draft of a survey. So what will happen is my thought would be that we look at the survey, and Danielle, there's a survey one for you as well. So this is just a draft. So what you do is say, hey, this question doesn't make sense. Good, we'll take it out and put something else in there. And I just give as a guide. So what this will be then, I'm thinking next time, if we want to, we go in executive session, we come through right here. Number 1, standard leadership. Okay, hey, I've already looked at this. I rated Mr. Carter at this, this level. And then all we do is we say, okay, and Barry says, well, I have some more input. I really think that he might be a little lower on that because. And then all we do is come up with a number. We have to publicly come out of executive session and make it formal, which is fine. You can also.
So do we actually have to come up with a number, or
no,
can we
you can
use
just check.
this excellent or
if you guys, what I'm planning to do, great question. What I'm planning to do, this is my first draft, and I emailed it to you as well. You just send back and say, hey, this one here doesn't really fit us. I don't like it. Great, we'll take it out. And then what we'll do then is, this will be a survey monkey. So you won't have to do anything. Come right to your email, you fill it out, and it will compute it, and we'll come back with a raw score for you.
So I like the idea. If you're looking for reasons behind maybe a score,
Yeah, that's what we can do.
then that wouldn't include that though.
Well, the crazy matrix and whatnot that we did last year, that you have to decide if you're a 3 or a 4, or can you be a 3.5?
You can be 3.5, yeah.
Well, the thing to me is that number to me means nothing. I'm more interested in, okay, we're excellent, and maybe the reason we're not outstanding is because there's these areas of improvement. Within a narrative, the numbering to me is.
The numbering's the big one. This one's just one saying, hey, right now we're doing, we're doing outstanding here. This one here needs to improve. Simple.
Well, and it simplifies it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, last year we all met, and it wasn't as complicated as years in the past. We have a seasoned superintendent, and we bottom line, we just have a conversation. Like, we love these things, and we want to see more of this, and we just articulate it out, and we're done.
Right.
I mean, I just see it as simplifying the process.
And now all this does is this gives you a survey monkey. Let's look at an example, like let's say promotes academic rigor and focus on learning excellence in schools. Hey, this is where Michael needs to improve. That's it. And you put that in the comments. But it didn't change my overall. You might rate me as good. But you can also put down needs to improve in area 1.2. It gives you that option to do that. It's a real quick survey. So if you like this format, I will tweak it based on what you have to me, and then I'll send out this, give it to Ms. Gerber. She will send out the survey monkey to you. It'll be real easy on the computer. The only question I put down was names. I mean, some people like it optional. It's up to you. I personally, it's up to you. So, but I know when we sit down together, we'll know what the scores are. We say this is what the whole group came up with.
I like the idea. I found that the process that we used last year and that we've used historically, we spend a lot of time on stuff that really doesn't have any meat behind it. Trying to figure out if you're a 3 or a 4, or can you do 3.5, and we spend more time on that than the important pieces of.
Spend a lot of time
what's happening.
reading how to even do
score
the question.
Yeah, what does this question really mean?
I just tried to make it simple. I took the top things from the research, put it in a draft survey monkey. And if you're interested in it, we can look for it and we can do it that way. And then you guys can sit in, like I said, in executive session, you can excuse me if you want, you can talk. I mean, there's nothing there that and I did my self-reflection based on the last one. So that tells you a little bit how I feel I'm doing, and I think my weakest area of failure this year has been the childcare. No doubt about it. I'm not there.
But again, the state hasn't delivered the money.
I know, but I'm still, that doesn't help me much. My car's still not there yet. I want my car in the driveway, so.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I'm not against the system. In fact, it was really great and I really appreciate it. It also guided and directed me to what we had to do and we made some of that stuff happen. I was real pleased with the union right now. The union climate's done well. We also put some money in there facility-wise. So, and that's where you guys can tell me at the end there. And there's also, this is just a quick survey, but you can ask in your comments, say, I think we need to spend some more time on facility. I think facilities is another area. We've been in survival mode. I want to get past that. I want to sit there and have a work session here in the next couple of months and talk about, are we going for a bond or not? And I want to do it
Before we have a roof just cave in.
before we have, right now, the roofs scare the fire out of us. Yeah, it really does. So again, I don't want to ramrod this. I just wanted to give you a suggestions of where we're at. And if you want the study, I'll be glad to ship it to you as well. Yeah, like I said, if you want it, and there's great geek out stuff here. You can get all the study survey, but I just tried to see what would fit us and how you feel comfortable with it. But I feel very supported by the board, and I think that's great. But I also know that I need to make sure I reflect your values.
Yeah, I'm supportive of it as long as it gives you enough feedback to where you feel like you understand our rating.
Yeah, and I'll ask.
So
Yeah, our rating and how we view everything. So,
I'm good with it, honestly, if there's something that we thought was really challenging within here that's in any of this, that should have already been addressed as we were going along. So there shouldn't be anything that is earth shattering that comes out of this process.
yeah, because once, it's just like any evaluation at work, you have a mid-year, but who's to say you don't do it as you go? And that's the way it should be anyway on an
Exactly.
evaluation. Yeah. So, all right.
Annie, are you okay with that? I didn't hear you. And Ms. Gerber, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Gerber, I want to make sure you're the board chair, secretary. You're fine with it?
Whatever they want. Okay, so how about if I move to approve the 2021-22 superintendent off-year evaluation process and self-reflection as presented?
second,
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries, and that's what we're gonna do is the off-year evaluation process. So, on to consent agenda.
so the on year is in about 5 years, right?
Great question. If I was to do the on year, I would, my recommendation to the board would be do it with the biennium. Do it with the money, because that's one that really gets everyone in trouble.
Okay, so we got number 10, the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to,
Approve the,
go ahead, Annie,
oh, sorry,
go ahead.
2021, sorry. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. I'm also trying to get a charger up here so I don't die. Sorry.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Or, did I do that right?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Oh, yeah, very.
Oh, yes.
So we have one abstain and 3 ayes, motion
To say he
carries.
has to.
He is kind of a problem. in
Yeah,
this
he is
consent
kind of-
agenda.
He is a problem.
So would Mr. Darwin would have been too.
Yeah,
Okay, so, consent agenda, we're good there. Announcements, any announcements, Mr.?
Well, all the 2 board members who are not here, we will deliver your gifts and your proclamations to you, later this week. And I can't promise the condition of the donut.
All right, next board meeting agenda items? Back to you.
It's all the same thing. We have the same thing here. So we're looking at the evaluation piece. We have the child care program. We're hopefully to have that grant official. I mean, the extra part of it. So that's good. And then we'll have the ESD partnership, because we want to talk about that, where we're at. By that time, they should have a new superintendent, named, or the process will be moving forward. And
have
then
they started the interviews?
The
Because you
interviews
guys
on-
are gonna do that.
Yeah, Hillary, Susan, Mr. Limberger, and myself are on the committee for the first round of interviews, and their interviews that afternoon. They have 3 candidates, they told us. We do not know all the details of the 3 candidates. But we interview them on the 24th. And the board meets the evening of the 24th. I don't know if they'll make a decision on that. We have not seen, that's
Because
not
they
been a very,
changed that, didn't they?
yes, it's
'Cause it
been
was
very
supposed to be
changed, and
next
it's not as transparent as I have found it yet, so I don't know.
Okay.
And that's it, Chairman.
All
We
right.
got the contract renewal one, that's the one right now, we have no one in danger with of non-renewal of our staff, so,
Right on.
We'll have the new COVID plan too.
yeah.
for the
And we'll
WR
also, the one thing we need to add there, Mr. Chairman, sorry about that, will be the new COVID plan. The one we just got, yesterday that we have to update by February 25th, and we don't wanna have a special meeting. So I'll have it updated by the
By
board
the
meeting
third,
time.
I think we're gonna try for.
Are we gonna have a new bus driver?
We have a new sub right now, but one, we're still working on some more, yeah.
There's an article in the paper.
Oh,
this
is
week.
there?
So, well, thank you for that. Do we have a motion for adjournment? If there's anything else, nothing else.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Um,
Motion carries. Adjourned.
Good job.